Hello everyone. This is Samir Ali, the Executive Director for Edify Elite. I am here today with Sir Ahmad Raza, who is the head of the program of English Proficiency here at Edify, and he is also a well-renowned SAT tutor and GRE tutor with multiple students across years who have gotten scores above 1500, 1550, and like 1400. So he's a well-known name in the industry, and we're here today to discuss the second category that is in our series that we're already doing, that is relating to how you get into top tier universities in the US with scholarships. So we've already talked about which universities are better suited, which countries better suited if you're aiming to get a scholarship, if you're a bright student, and if you are really serious about your future, how can you get into these universities. So we talked about the criterias, the four things. I've discussed them multiple times in my videos, that is academic excellence, SATs, English proficiency, the third category being your extracurricular profile, and the fourth category being your essays and the application itself. So today we're going to talk about the second category, that is SATs and English proficiency. We're gonna have a question, kind of a casual Q&A session where we're gonna ask each other questions, and hopefully they'll answer most of your queries. If you have any further queries, you can always reach out to us. So how are you, Mr. Ahmad Raza,
I am
today?
fine. Thank you so much for that awesome introduction, and thank you so much for having me here.
I was only speaking the truth. So shall we begin with the question and
Yes,
answers?
because I
Okay.
do have a lot of questions to ask,
Sure,
so
sure.
I'd like to take the lead on this, and
Okay,
I'd like to begin
perfect,
with the
perfect.
question.
Okay, so this has been kind of a roller coaster ride for most students, because as it goes that we're merely like picking ourselves up after the COVID pandemic, and during the COVID time it had become increasingly difficult for students to go to testing centers and give their SATs. And realizing this and acting promptly, most colleges, even Ivy Leagues for that matter, did go test optional. But as the we are recovering from the pandemic, most colleges are reverting back to their test compulsory policies. Among those colleges, the most notable are Harvard University, Yale University, Dartmouth. And since Ivy Leagues have always been an inspiration to other colleges, and other universities do follow their charge, what can be confidently said is that most colleges will follow and will again go towards their test compulsory policy. So this is currently been reported in the New York Times, it has been reported in the independent news, that colleges are going to go back to their test compulsory policies, because that is how a university finds out the students' aptitude. It really does go a long way, and this universities have been relying on these tests for quite a while now, and I don't think that SATs are going anywhere soon.
Yes, and as we've talking about it, I think aptitude is it greatly gets tested through SAT, and of course IELTS or TOEFL and Duolingo are only specific to the English. But
Yeah.
if we talk about SAT, it has that maths portion and then an English portion, and
100%.
both of them are a bit more technical per se. It's not like a regular, so it is a good criteria to shortlist. And thank you
Okay.
so much for highlighting on that. Now,
Thank
there
you.
are three terms that I'm a bit confused about, and I would like you to clarify them. What is test optional, test blind, and flexible? What are these terms, and could you please elaborate a little bit?
Okay, perfect. So, uh, when you dive into deeper knowledge about like testing policies of these universities, you come across these terms. These terms aren't like regularly known by everyone. So I'll start with the first one, that is, and the most simplest one, that is test optional. So many colleges, about more than 50% colleges in the US, are test optional. So the test optional is basically the university gives you a choice that you can choose to either submit your score or not submit your score. I will elaborate on this a little bit more further along, that what is the, like, you have to ask me this question later on, that uh, is it wiser to choose test optional or go test compulsory? But for the basic description, test optional means that the university has given you the option to either submit the score or not submit the score.
All right.
Then there is the second category, that is test blind. So test blind, I would have to say, is that the university is blind towards the SAT test. So if even if a student submits the score, the university will not take it into consideration. I would have to say over here that there are very, very few cases of universities which are test blind. So that is why this terminology or test blind does not come up very often.
All right.
And the third category is test flexible. So when we talk about test flexible, it means that the university gives you the option to either submit your SAT, or you can submit an IB score or an AP exam score. So it's a general understanding that AP courses are difficult. The IB high school, you can say, uh, high school degree in itself, if you call it a degree, is difficult in its own merit, and it really, like, puts the students through a rigorous schedule and everything. So this, some universities, again, there is a very few number of universities that allow students to, instead of submitting their SAT score, they can submit their IB or AP courses score, because AP is not compulsory. AP is advanced placement courses only for students who are on such a, like, you can say, who are so serious about their future that with their A levels they're also taking extra courses, advanced courses, that goes to show their academic excellence. So the universities, some universities do accept these courses as well. It's not the policy for Ivy League universities. Like, Ivy League universities do take your SAT, and they also take your and you also have the option to submit an AP course as well. So again, like, the more the merrier. If you submit both of them, then it's gonna do wonders for your application. And I think I'm just rambling, so let's move on to the next question.
All right. Thank you so much, first of all, explaining that in so much depth. It just clarifies all three terms. However, it brings another question, which is that if 50% universities are taking this test optional option, so should I take SAT or not? And what happens if I don't take SAT?
Okay, so I always say, and I'm gonna be a rigorous supporter of this always, that you should take your SATs. Why is that? Because it's not clear. It's never been documented, or like, every counselor knows this, that it's not clear that when you don't submit your SAT score, how the university looks at your application then to find out your aptitude. Do they look at your essays? Do they look at your extracurriculars? Because extracurriculars show your ingenuity, your presence of mind, your capabilities. Your essays show your narrative, your character. But when it comes down to your aptitude, the only thing that shows your aptitude is your SAT score. And if you don't submit your SAT score, then the university is, I won't say confused, but it's uncertain for us that what the university looks towards. It's very simple. Universities have a minimum admission criteria. Thousands of applicants apply. Let's talk about the top tier universities. Thousands of applicants apply. 95% of the applications I have seen of students who've gotten into Ivy Leagues, or the top 10 or the top 25 for that matter, 25 universities in the world, have given their SATs and have scored more than 1500, 1520, 1550, 1580 in their SATs. So this is one indicator that shows the importance of SAT. Then uh, then we have to look at the fact that when thousands of applicants apply to a university, and you're sitting here with like two students are sitting, or they have to compare two students who've gotten the same, let's say, A level score of, or the same IB score, and they have similar you can say extracurriculars, they have the same kind of background, their essays, both students have written meticulous essays, then how can this university make a decision? The university needs your SAT scores, and you need to put in your SAT scores to take you above that other students, to make you comparatively better than that other student, and get you an admission and get you a scholarship. And even some universities base their scholarships on your SAT scores. So I would say that for students who are aiming for, let's say, the top 100 universities in the US or the world, they should consider giving their SATs once. If your score is does not come out good, then you can try again. We also have this for some universities test optional policy, but that should be your second option. That should not be your first option, because knowledge is key. Knowledge, I believe that you should like forever consume knowledge. Being a lawyer myself, my entire profession is based on consuming knowledge and then using it for my law practice or to help students. So I always say that it's not gonna like have a disadvantage for you. It's only gonna like
Make it
teach you
more
stuff,
better.
make it more better, teach you stuff. Like you are going to go through the pressure of SAT, the English, the math. It's not that easy, and it will only like be useful to you. So why go test optional when you have an option to give your SAT and make an impact on the university? And this is where I'm gonna answer the question myself before even you asking it. That test optional does not mean that the university says that, oh, it's fine, don't submit your SAT, we'll just consider other things. SAT optional is an option. Like just as you go to a burger place and you ask, they ask you if you want cheese or you don't want cheese. Like most people want cheese because they like cheese. So it makes the burger taste better, if that makes any sense to you. SAT makes your application better. It's only if you get a good score in SAT, it is only going to help you. So even if a university is SAT optional and you do not score good in your SAT, then you should only like refrain from sending in your SAT score. Otherwise,
The priority should be
I
to
would
appear.
recommend that you like do the course, you give your SAT, you give it once, you give it twice. For most students, the first time around they don't score very good, and it's the second time around or the third time around that they score better. So like that's the like my answer to SAT optional, that students should always consider going giving their SAT, and only should go SAT optional if their score does not come up good
After multiple tries,
after multiple
not in
tries.
going
Yes,
because
yes.
I think the test in itself is intimidating. And in the first attempt, the format is not that clear. You have a lot of pressure of scoring. So that is primarily, in my opinion, the reason why people don't achieve their desired score in the first attempt. And in the second attempt, they are quite familiar with the exam setting. They know how it works. They are already good students, I guess, but they just need more confidence. So thank you so much. And I think, yes, I would agree with that.
Thank you.
If something is consolidating your profile, then you shouldn't just ignore it by 1 point.
Yeah.
And just get it, and
Yeah.
you are in the top list.
Ajay, like since you are like I have the knowledge based on college applications and how much, if you get this much SAT score, this university you should apply towards. I think you are better suited to answer a question that I have, and for our viewers' knowledge, that what is a good time to begin preparing for your SAT?
Right, if I talk about the best timing, I would suggest that a student ideally should start at the end of their O levels or in their AS, because I think the test in itself requires a lot of time for understanding the concepts, and for getting into the test it requires at least 8 weeks. So the duration of the course in majority of the places it's 8 weeks, because you need to understand many different concepts. But again, I think it requires too much practice because it has maths, and we know that maths can't be cracked without practice. You
Yeah,
need to be good
that's
in
true.
different
That's
concepts. You
true.
need to be good in geometry. You need to be good in algebra, the probabilities, and also there are so many different concepts. So I would say that the earlier you start, the better are the chances, because for two months you are spending to understand the concepts, and then you are practicing. The more you practice, the better are the chances. So yeah, you need to give yourself in my opinion, at least 4 months.
Okay, good, 4 months. And I think it will be helpful for our viewers to understand that they should go through the course early and then keep practicing and then give their SAT after a lot of practice. So, while we're asking this question, I have another question. Since you're the tutor, you're the one who has all the deep knowledge in the concepts, what are the tips and tricks students can use? And also you can add a little bit like about if any resources they can use while they're preparing for their SAT or before giving their exams.
All right. So among the different tips that I can tell someone is in the beginning, I would like to say that a student must be familiar with the exam pattern. That is extremely important. And when I say pattern, I don't mean the types of questions. I also mean the format of the test, the interface of the user interface of the test actually, because it's computer based now. And how would you use the calculator there? How would you make how would you draw graphs there of equations? I think these are the things that people struggle with when they are sitting in their real exams. So the first tip would be to get yourself access of any digital platform that can offer the similar kind of a format that reflects of the similar pattern as in the real exam. And uh, again, I would say that practicing on a right format and in a right way is the key to go about it. And your assessment diagnostic test is very important. The second tip would be in the beginning of whenever you are starting the preparation, the first thing should be to give a diagnostic test, because it tells you a lot about your current preparation. It you would get to know whether you are weak in English or in maths, and in which specific areas you are weak, and you can work more on them and less on the areas that you are already good at. So diagnostic test to begin with is a very important thing. And the resources, I think there are a number of resources available out there. Students know more than us. I mean, they keep on exploring. For instance, Edify offers its Edify tcy.online. It's a good platform. It offers the a very good preparation material. There are mock tests, there are section tests, question tests, and
Yeah.
then when you solve them, you get and there are similar other as well.
As well.
I wouldn't
And
suggest.
I think you're working with the team on since AI is taking over the world, there are AI models now that are being created for SATs as well. So AI tools are being used, and I think we are also developing, and I think we're almost done with it, an AI tool that is for Edify, that the
Yes.
students can log on to and go and give their exams, and based on their entire exam
Diagnostic from the preparation to the
yeah,
mock
everything
tests that
comes
you.
up, and the AI model basically tells you that where you are weaker, and like it
It gives you the
basically,
remedial test. I mean,
yes.
for instance, like you need to, uh, so you did a maths test and you was really bad in geometry, then it
Hmm.
would give you a remedial test that this is the test that you should do because this is your weak area.
Okay.
And that's an automatic marking. And I think that is quite tough for a human examiner to
Mm.
do. But I think it should be a combination,
Yeah.
Samir sir. I think it can't be, you can't rely on one thing.
Mm.
I mean, to understand the concept, you can't simply rely on ChatGPT or the Metas or the AIs, because they will teach you in a good manner. However, there are certain limitations. I mean, not everybody understand by just giving the prompt and whatever the
Mm.
ChatGPT is giving you, and not always the information is authentic. So for understanding part and grasping the concept should always be with rely with the human instructor, and then the practice part is where you can utilize the AI. So what we are working on, and that, as you've mentioned, we're almost done with it. It's just in the final stages that we are about to combine these two things. So in a manner that anyone who wishes to do good in their either their aptitude tests or their English language tests, they can just utilize both of these elements and can maximize their outcomes.
I think this innovation was like much needed by the students, and I think they're gonna thank you for this. You working and spending your time on this. Okay, so enough about SAT. I think like the viewers must also be tired of hearing about SATs, and if they have any specific questions, they can always reach out to us.
Yeah.
Let's move towards your other area of expertise, that is English proficiency.
All right.
So the first question I have over here, and often students call me up and ask me that which test they should go towards. Should they choose IELTS? Should they choose TOEFL? Should they choose Duolingo? So what's your take on this? Which exam should the student go towards?
I wouldn't always suggest TOEFL because I think it's a bit tough and the resources are less available out there. So I think we can put it aside for now. If you've asked me about three options, we can just separate it out. Among Duolingo and IELTS, I think if you're specifically targeting the US, then Duolingo is a good option to go with. It's a very simpler test, easier test, not expensive. Only it costs you around 19,000 rupees or so. You can give it anywhere, anytime. All the good factors, and you can prepare it really early. But it has a kind of a limitation is that not all universities or most universities in the UK or other countries like Australia, Canada, they don't necessarily accept Duolingo. But IELTS is accepted anywhere in the world. I mean, whether you want to apply in Germany, France, UK, Canada, Australia, IELTS is something that's a common denominator among all the tests. So if you are really going to spend your time, energy, effort, and resources and money on a test, on an English language test, then I would highly suggest to go for IELTS because it will give you more options and you won't be limited by the choice.
Yeah, because that's why what I always tell my students as well, that it's this always the smartest move to have a backup plan. So if you don't get into a very good university, or you don't get the desired level of scholarship in the US, and you're relying on a backup option in the UK, or even if you're applying to Oxford or Cambridge University in the UK as well, or any good university in the UK as well, because the UK universities are also in the top 100 ranking, then I believe that you should give, since you're doing so much, you're working on your academics, profile, your essays and everything, why give two exams separately, Duolingo separately and IELTS separately? You should just give one exam which is widely acceptable.
And it's valid for 2 years.
It's valid for 2
and
years.
it's a long time.
Yeah.
And if you prepare it for a good amount of time and you just try to score 7.5, it helps you a lot. Whether it's Australia, we know Australia mostly takes 6.5 or so. Canada takes around this. So if you're scoring higher in IELTS, it will be valid for 2 years, and you in those 2 years you have many options.
Yeah, and since the kind of students that are applying to top tier universities, I don't think IELTS would be very difficult for them, because these students are already very proficient in their English. They are hardworking since they've gotten those scores. They're doing their SAT, and I do believe that if they score 7.5 or even score higher than that, it will also make a good impact for their university application.
And I tell you what, it's an interesting. I don't want to boost the ego of the students here, but I think if someone has done SAT, IELTS for them is like a piece of cake, and they can prepare it within 15 days or so. And if they just give 15 days dedicatedly to this test, after SAT, the English of this test is not that difficult. They are already familiar with the reading comprehension. So in SAT, you deal with a lot of aptitude question. Even in English, you have to find those loopholes, and you need to be very smart about it. But in IELTS, you don't have to be that smart. You just need to have a good reading comprehension. You should be good at listening different accents and understanding them. Speaking is very natural for these kind of students. So I think for them, IELTS is not a big deal. It's just a myth that we have created, that we should always go for a test which just we can give from the comfort of our home. So you don't have to go out to a center. So but you might regret it later on.
Thank you for being so detailed. A similar
Sure.
question coming up again. Uh, I think you've answered it, like even for these students, 15 days is enough, but still, I'm going to ask you, like, what's the timeline for IELTS? Like, how often are the exams taken? And I think you've made multiple videos telling students on when the dates are, when should they start preparing. But if you can just summarily tell us right now.
For as I've mentioned, it based on the ability of a student. We always do this assessment whenever we a student come for an enrollment. We do the assessment in the very beginning, and that assessment tells us what should be the duration: 2 months, 1 month, 15 days. We do offer crash courses and all. For a good student, I think 1 month is a very decent amount of time, because for the first week would be about getting the basics, understanding the question types, the tricks. The rest of the 3 weeks are for the practice. Mock tests are really important. I think in this test, specifically in English language test, the test is very lengthy. I mean, it's 3 hours, 3 45 minutes if we talk about the complete test of IELTS. So it tests your patience, it tests your abilities and mental abilities. So the more you give mock tests, the better are the chances. So I think you should dedicate at least 2 weeks for the mock tests. So there should be around 7 to 10 mock tests that you need to give. So, and ideally for a good student who has or who have done their SATs, I think for them the duration should be of 1 month, not less than that.
Perfect. And I think I have this final question from my end. Again, your expertise are needed in this question. That tips and tricks, like just note them down. I think you've made multiple videos on tips and tricks, and if you can just point out some tips and tricks for this video as well for acing your IELTS.
All right. For the first biggest mistake I see when people start their preparation is that they think that I will focus on one module for the first whole week, and then I will start the second module and third. But once they are done with the second module, they forget everything about the first one, and then they are through the third. So they keep on forgetting. So it's not the right strategy. You should always take all the modules alongside. I mean, one day for reading, speaking, writing, listening. It should be a combination of it. And that is the first tip. I mean, the second again is to start off with the diagnostic test, just similar to the what I said in the SAT. Start off with the diagnostic test, know where you are falling, and then keep on practicing as much as you can. At least spend 1 week in understanding the ins and outs of the test, because there are different marking criterias in writing and speaking. There are different marking criterias. Reading comprehension has 11 question types, so you must understand all those question types, because every question type has a different trick. Skimming and scan is something which we often tell students to do in the reading portion. There are multiple things, but I think all in all, I would just say you need to give yourself some time. You need to give yourself time. Lastly, I would just like to highlight that just like I mentioned in the SAT, that for IELTS, it's also important that you prepare for the real exam condition, and that can only happen if you will prepare on a digital portal, because the test is now on computer based. From the April of 2025, the computer paper based IELTS was completely gone from Pakistan, and now they are only offering computer based tests. So it's important that students should prepare on a computer, in a lab, in that setting, on a digital portal to better perform in the real exam. So with that, I think, Sir Samir, I've talked a lot about all of these tips and tests and everything, and let's just summarize everything. And with one question, I would like you to summarize it: that how can Edify help students in this domain?
So, I would like to say that Edify has a very wide network of resources that we utilize to give the students the best opportunities that are possible. We are having our SAT classes in our head office, that is in Faisalabad. We are having our SAT classes in Lahore. We are moving, inshallah, very soon to our SAT classes in Islamabad as well. And I do believe that something that is as difficult as SAT do require human interaction. They do require a physical presence in a class, and I am not a big fan of online SAT classes, because online learning for something so difficult or so you can say demanding is not appropriate. I believe that physical classes is the best idea. And the same goes like in regarding our network, the same goes for IELTS. Our IELTS network spreads across Pakistan. We have our setups in Faisalabad, Lahore, Sahiwal. I think we're expanding to Sargodha.
We've already expanded to Surgoda, and tomorrow is the launch of Sahiwal.
Sahiwal. We have our IELTS set up in our branches in Islamabad, Pindi for physical classes, and I believe that Mr. Ahmad Raza has spent a lot of time in accommodating those students that are from remote areas as well. And if you need IELTS tutoring or English proficiency tutoring throughout Pakistan, that is also available online as well.
Classes, yes, we are offering
So we try our level best to provide students with the most efficient facilities and the best tutoring possible. I would just like to conclude the video on this point that you should, if as time is short and the Common App is starting in August, in the start of August, you should really get your like things straight, your priorities straight. You should start working on your college list, on your applications, on your SAT prep, or your English proficiency tests and everything. And I believe that if you like prioritize what you're going to do and how you're going to do, you'll make it. And if you've not chosen a counselor, I think having a counselor is a very good idea and the best idea you can have towards your college applications. So if you have any queries, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Mr. Ahmad Raza. My number is showing under the video. You can contact me through that number personally, directly, and I'll answer all your queries. And we are going to keep this series like moving forward with profile videos on profile building, the essence of profile building, the college applications, the essays. So stay tuned and I'll see you soon. Thank you.